Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on BTV Global News at 12. My name is Temitope Oluwafemi. And now to the news in details. North Korea's governing Workers' Party of Korea has formally re-elected leader Kim Jong-un as General Secretary, a move widely interpreted by analysts as a strong signal of his continued absolute authority and growing confidence in the country's domestic stability. The report.
The decision was announced during a high-level party meeting in North Korea, where senior officials praised Kim's leadership, citing what they described as successes in strengthening national defense, maintaining internal political control, and managing economic challenges despite ongoing international sanctions and border restrictions. State media reported that delegates unanimously supported the reappointment, emphasizing loyalty to Kim and reaffirming the party's commitment to its strategic direction. The General Secretary position is the most powerful office within the party structure and effectively places Kim at the center of all political, military, and policy decisions in the country. Observers said the re-election was largely expected and carefully orchestrated to project unity at the top of the leadership hierarchy. Political analysts note that such public endorsements are designed not only to consolidate internal elite support, but also to send a clear message domestically that there is no visible opposition to Kim's rule. The move also comes amid continued efforts by the government to reinforce ideological discipline, tighten social control, and prioritize military modernization, including ongoing missile development programs that have drawn international criticism. Despite economic pressures linked to sanctions, food shortages, and limited trade, the leadership has consistently portrayed the country as politically stable. Experts believe the renewed mandate for Kim is intended to strengthen that narrative and maintain continuity in governance while the country navigates both economic hardship and diplomatic isolation. Kim has led the country since 2011, succeeding his father, and has since consolidated power through power restructuring, military oversight, and repeated leadership confirmations within the ruling political system. Naomi Ewere, reporting from BTV News.
Prime Minister James Frederick Nielsen of Greenland has firmly declined an offer linked to U.S. President Donald Trump sent a U.S. hospital ship to the Arctic territory, stressing that Greenland does not require such assistance and remains focused on protecting its autonomy. The report. In a recent statement, Nelson said no thanks to the proposal, emphasizing that Greenland's health authorities are capable of managing their own medical needs. He added that cooperation with international partners is welcome when necessary, but unsolicited deployments, especially from the United States, must respect Greenland's local governance and decision-making structures. The hospital ship idea comes against the backdrop of Trump's long-standing public interest in acquiring Greenland, a proposal he first floated during his presidency. At the time, the suggestion that the United States might purchase the territory from Denmark was strongly rejected by Danish and Greenland leaders who described the island as not for sale. Greenland, the world's largest island, controls its domestic affairs while Denmark oversees defense and foreign policy. Its strategic Arctic location and vast untapped natural resources have made it increasingly important geopolitically, drawing attention from major global powers. Officials in Nuuk reiterated that any foreign support, whether humanitarian or military related, must be requested through official channels. The government warned that symbolic gesture tied to broader political ambitions could undermine trust and regional stability. Analysts say the swift reduction signals Greenland's determination to assert its political independence and avoid being drawn into renewed debate over territorial control. The administration also stressed that maintaining constructive international partnership does not include entertaining proposals that appear linked to sovereignty discussions. The issue is expected to remain sensitive as Arctic competition intensifies and global interest in Greenland's resources and strategic shipping routes continues to grow. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BTV News. American supporters have erupted in celebration after the United States secured Olympic men's ice hockey gold with a dramatic 2-1 overtime victory against fierce rivals Canada, ending a nearly half-century drought in the event. The report. The championship clash delivered one of the most intense finals in recent Olympic history, with both North American powerhouses showcasing high-tempo skating, disciplined defense, and world-class goaltending from the opening puck draw. Canada struck first in the opening period, capitalizing on a defensive lapse to silence the largely pro-American crowd. The United States responded in the second period, leveling the score through a well-worked attacking sequence that beat the Canadian netminder low to the glove side. The equalizer shifted momentum firmly towards the Americans, who pressed aggressively for the go-ahead goal while Canada relied on counterattacks and physical play to stay in contention. Despite several late chances for both teams in the third period, regulation time ended 1-1, forcing sudden death overtime. The tension inside the arena rose sharply as fans understood a single mistake would decide the gold medal. The decisive moment came in overtime when an American forward broke through the neutral zone, combined quickly with a teammate, and fired a clinical shot past the Canadian goalkeeper to seal the historic 2-1 victory. Players rushed onto the ice in celebration as the United States bench emptied, marking the country's first Olympics men's hockey gold in almost 50 years. American fans hailed the triumph as a landmark achievement, praising the team's resilience, defensive organization, and composure under pressure. Social media across the country filled instantly with celebratory messages, calling the win a defining moment for U.S. hockey on the international stage. For Canada, the defeat was a bitter disappointment after entering the final as one of the tournament favorites. Nevertheless, analysts commended the team's performance and noted the match lived up to its billing as one of the sport's greatest rivalries. The victory not only restores the United States to the summit of Olympic men's ice hockey, but is also expected to inspire a new generation of players and strengthen the sport's profile nationwide. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BTV News. Mexican authorities say notorious drug lord Nemesio Oseguare Cervantes, widely known as El Mancho, has been killed during a military raid targeting a stronghold linked to the powerful Jalisco New Generation cartel CJNG. The report.
Security officials reported that operations was carried out by elite units of the Mexican Armed Forces following weeks of intelligence gathering and aerial surveillance. Troops reportedly moved in before dawn surrounding the compound, believed to be housing the cartel leader along with heavily armed guards. A fierce gun battle followed, after which authorities confirmed that Oseguera Cervantes was among those killed. The Mexican government has not yet released full operational details, but described the raid as a major blow against organized crime. Officials said identification procedures, including forensic verification, were completed before the announcement. El Mencho had long been considered one of the most wanted traffickers in the world, accused of overseeing vast drug smuggling networks, moving methamphetamine, fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin into the United States and other international markets. The United States government had previously offered a multi-million-dollar reward for information leading to his capture. The raid comes amid intensified anti-cartel operations across Mexico, where the administration has been under growing domestic and international pressure to curb cartel violence. In recent months, authorities have deployed additional troops to cartel-dominated regions, increased financial crackdowns, and expanded cooperation with United States law enforcement agencies. Security analysts say the reported killing of El Mancho could trigger internal struggles within the CJNG as rival commanders compete for control, raising concerns about possible short-term spikes in violence in western Mexican states where the cartel remains strong in influence. The government has urged the public to remain calm while security forces continue stabilization patrols in affected areas. Further officials' briefing are expected as investigations continue into the aftermath of the operation. Evelyn Isabelle reporting for Beetv News.
A man carrying a shotgun was fatally shot by security personnel after breaching the secure perimeter at the Mar-a-Lago resort owned by U.S. President Donald Trump in Palm Beach, according to law enforcement officials. The report.
Authorities said officers from the United States Secret Service, working alongside local police, confronted the armed suspect after he entered a restricted zone surrounding the private club, formerly known as Mar-a-Lago. Officials reported that the man was visibly armed with a shotgun and failed to comply with commands issued by security agents. Law enforcement sources confirmed that agents discharged their weapons after assessing what they described as an immediate threat to protected property and potential occupants. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene. No Secret Service personnel or civilians were reported injured during the incident. Officials did not immediately release the identity of the suspect pending notification of next of kin. Investigators are currently working to determine the motive behind the breach, including whether the man intended to target the property, any individual, or government-protected persons. Security around the resort was temporarily tightened following the shooting, while federal and local investigators processed the scene. Authorities emphasized that protective measures functioned as designed, noting that the perimeter system detected the breach and triggered a rapid armed response. The incident remains under active investigation, and additional details are expected to be released as authorities complete interviews and forensic examinations. Naomi Ewere, reporting from Beetv News.
And now moving on to business news. Green projects across Africa are seeking about $3.9 billion in funding as investors prepare to review a curated pipeline of climate solutions from more than 25 countries at the Africans Green Economy Summit 2026 in Cape Town, South Africa. The report.
According to the organizers, the pipeline includes early-stage small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as expansion and infrastructure opportunities. Key sectors include renewable energy, waste management, circular economy initiatives, sustainable agriculture, the blue economy, and nature-based solutions. The summit aims to accelerate deals through pitch sessions, investors' briefings, and one-to-one matchmaking with development finance institutions, banks, and venture funds. Financing is expected to include blended finance, concessional funding, and risk mitigation tools to help scale climate solutions across the continent. Foreign investment into Nigeria's production and manufacturing sector fell by 54.11% in the first 9 months of 2025, despite a 131.96% rise in overall capital importations. The sector attracted $463.52 million, down from $1.1 billion in the same period of 2024. Manufacturing inflows reached increased significantly from $7.23 billion in 2024 to $16.78 billion in 2025. In the third quarter of 2025 alone, capital inflows rose to $6.1 billion, marking a sharp increase from $1.25 billion in the same quarter of 2024. Portfolio investments accounted for the largest share, contributing $4.85 billion, a shift from traditional reactive maintenance to data-driven infrastructure and strategic asset management. The inauguration took place during the association's first strategic meeting of 2026 at the Nigerian Society of Engineers Secretariat in Ibadan. The event brought together National Executive Council members and industry stakeholders focused on improving facility management and economic growth. He noted that with a global network of 25,000 members across 140 countries, the new Oyo branch is positioned to align local infrastructure with international standards. Naomi Ewere, reporting from Beetv News.
Moving on to the report.
According to videos circulating online about to happen, he inquired whether Qatar would be willing to step in the ring with Portable, upon which Qatar responded in the positive, adding that he intends to ensure that Portable doesn't leave the ring. In live stream, Pella said he is still a virgin and attributed his decision to warnings he received before leaving Ikorodu. He claimed that engaging in a casual relationship could negatively affect a person's glory, a phrase often used in spiritual context. He also revealed that he plans to get married soon and intends to hold wedding ceremonies in 3 different countries. The entertainer had after Film Awards for portraying John Davidson, a campaigner who have inspired and shaped her work. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn is reporting for Beetv News.
Moving on to sport news. Super Eagles forward and Wolves striker Tolu Arokodare has been subjected to racist abuse on social media following his team's 1-0 defeat at Crystal Palace. The abuse came after he mixed a first-half penalty with screenshots shared by both the player and the club showing multiple offensive messages from anonymous accounts. Arokodare expressed his shock on Instagram, condemning the racism and calling for action against those responsible. Wolves also condemned the behavior, describing it as abhorrent and unlawful, and pledging full support to the Nigerian international while working with authorities and social media platforms to identify the perpetrators. The incident was not isolated. Sunderland winger Romain Mondo also received racist messages after his substitute appearance in a 3-1 home defeat by Fulham, highlighting ongoing concerns about discrimination in English football. Many thanks for staying with us on BTV Global News at 12. My name is Temitope Oluwafemi. Do have a lovely afternoon and goodbye.